Cyclone MMA.
Hello everybody, my name is Mason from Cyclone MMA, and we're going to pick the Fighter of the Year 2020. I understand that there's another UFC event to go, but I don't see anyone, that's fighting on, this Saturday affecting this list at all, other than possibly Chaos Williams. If he gets another first round knockout, he could potentially, be a candidate, but I don't see him beating a lot of the people on this list. But I'm going to pick my 5 candidates for Fighter of the Year. I'll explain who won in the poll on my YouTube channel, and then I will pick my personal Fighter of the Year. Without further ado, let's get into the candidates. The first fighter on this list is Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul.
No. The first candidate we have on this list is Hamza Shamayev. This dude had 3 wins in 2020. He kind of shocked the MMA community when he had 2 wins in 10 days and 2 dominant wins at that. He then had a fight against Gerald Meerschaert, and, he had a lot of hype going into that fight. In the first punch he landed, he got a knockout. He shows absolute domination in his fights, and he has a lot of hype now. So that's why he's the candidate for Fighter of the Year. Next, we have Israel Addisonia, who proved to be one of the best middleweights ever. And he had 2 fights, 2 wins, won a terribly boring fight against Yoel Romero, and then an absolute masterclass against Paulo Costa. 2 fights a year is kind of, a small task for someone like Israel Adesanya, who fights quite frequently. But with, everything going on in the world this year, it's very understandable that he only got 2. And I feel like if most champions fought twice a year, we'd be pretty happy. Next, we have Jan Blejovich, who's like an underdog champion. He was an underdog against Corey Anderson, who he knocked out. He was then an underdog against Dominic Reyes, who he also knocked out to become the light heavyweight champion. Just a great year for him, a great bounce back year. He's the champion now, and, he's a big inspiration to those. You should never quit on your dreams. His goal was to become a champion, and he accomplished that this year, and, good job, Jan. Our next candidate is a fun one. We got Kevin Holland. He had 5 fights in 2020, 5 wins. 3 of the wins were finishes in the first round. He had 4 finishes overall. Just a really, really good year. And he's an exciting fighter too. He talks a lot of trash. He has a fun style. He goes out and just puts it on the guy he's fighting. He's fast-paced. And he had a crazy fight against Jacare Souza where he was able to knock him out from basically his back. He was on the ground. He threw some punches, got the finish. Just a crazy performance and a crazy year all around for Kevin Holland. Our final candidate for this list is Davison Figueretta, who became the flyweight champion in the UFC. He had 4 fights this year. 3 of them were wins. All of the wins were finishes, and he also had a draw against Brandon Moreno in one of the best flyweight fights I've ever seen, possibly the best flyweight fight of all time. Unfortunately, he did miss weight in his first fight of the year against Joseph Benavidez, but he would avenge that. He would get the win against him while making weight, and he would become the champion. Just put together a really, really good year, and he's starting to become a star in the sport, so that definitely helps his case for Fighter of the Year. Now, as I said, I put a poll on my YouTube channel, and I will give you the results for that right now. We have Davison Figueretta taking 41% of the vote, followed by Kevin Holland with 29% and Israel Adesanya with 22%. Then we had Hamza Shamayev with 7% and Jan Blejovich with only 1%. So, according to the Cyclone MMA subscribers, Davison Figueretta is the Fighter of the Year. Now I'm going to give my personal opinion on the matter. So I'm going to do some process of elimination here. So if we just take the champions, right? Because you always kind of have to take champions and put them on a pedestal because they're fighting the tougher fights because they're the champion. Davison Figueretta is a champ. Jan Blejovich is a champ. And Israel Adesanya is a champ. If you're matching all of those guys up against each other, you kind of have to take out Jan and Israel. They just had less fights. They had half as many fights as Davison Figueretta. Even with the draw, Davison Figueretta still has more wins than them. So that leaves us with Davison Figueretta. And now for non-champions, we have Hamzat Shamayev and Kevin Holland, who both put together really, really good years. Hamzat Shamayev is more of a breakout fighter of the year to me. In fact, I think Kevin Holland, can fit in the same category. But if you match up their resume, you got to give Kevin Holland the nod there. 5 for 5 in 1 year. It's just incredible. So in the finals, we have Davison Figueretta and Kevin Holland. This one's really tough for me. I can understand people saying either. I'm going to go with Davison Figueretta. I know he has 1 less fight than Kevin Holland and 2 less wins, but the challenges he faced in the resume is just better. He was fighting, top fighters in his division, and he was doing it for championship belts. So my fighter of the year is Davison Figueretta. And, if I had to give an interim belt for fighter of the year, it's going to go to Kevin Holland, who put together a really, really awesome year. Definitely not a loser in this situation. I just think that Figueretta had a slightly better year. So that's basically all I have to say about that. I am going to have more videos coming out soon about the year of 2020 and different, topics like that. Like I'm going to have a 2020 MMA recap video. So stay tuned for that and be sure to subscribe if you're not already and like this video. Peace out, everyone.
Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson.
Amanda. Duh.
Next, we got Artem Lobov. We're going to stick him right up at S tier. Just kidding.